Battlefront 2 is one of the most frustrating games I've played and platinum in a long while. I don't know whether to like it or hate it. They've really made a bit of a mixture of mess here. There's a lot of history with Battlefront 2 that they really made a mess at launch, so I'm not going to go into the history of it, but they have kind of turned it around to this point and made a game that's fairly playable. The game is split into 3 parts, so you got your single player, your multiplayer and your arcade mode. So I jumped into the story mode and it looks great. The sense of Star Wars is strong and well represented, and it just starts off very well with the story, playing mostly as the dark side. Unfortunately, the main twist to the story, and we've broken up with Jedi levels, it ruins all the narrative and the whole story just becomes a bit old, repetitive and boring, and sadly it just ruins what is a great start. But to their credit, they do throw in some single player missions after the fact for free, and I believe there was some new stuff being thrown in. For this Battlefront 2, they threw in an arcade mode, and sadly it is quite poor. It feels like a training mode and it's just a filler with no real point. They took basically the idea that they had for Battlefront 1 and made it into a complete rubbish mess. I expected to play the large game modes with the bots like you could in the first one when they eventually patched it in, and in fact they don't have it here, which makes the whole thing pointless, because I enjoy playing with my son and playing against the bots and having our own personal battles. So that just leaves us with the multiplayer, which is the large and mainly bulk of the game and is the whole point of the game. And it works in some ways and it doesn't in others. There's a few game modes. You've got the spaceships, you've got just the normal team deathmatch kind of modes, which you know by now are the standards. But the problem is, the new players are cannon fodder. It's pure and simple, and it's a huge problem, as anybody with advanced skills will have a huge advantage just for their characters and will destroy anybody who's new. I do like though that when you play the game and play the objective, you earn points, and that's where you can buy your tanks, your Jedis or advanced troopers. So that was a nice change from the first game. But the Jedi are woefully poor in this game. They can seem fun to play with, but at the beginning you're going to get chopped down as soon as you pick one, and that's if you get to pick one. But then they make a real mess of things, because anybody who's got advanced Jedi skill cards become almost invincible, and unless you've got a whole team targeting one Jedi, they're just going to get 100 kills plus in a game, and it's a big mess, especially as you get some of them that can re-heal, and that I think is wrong. But if you forget about that, the game does tick along quite nicely, and there's game modes without them. The 4 character classes are unbalanced as well, and I really have a poor you have real poor use for them. So the captain can be quite powerful when he's done up, but then the sniper, he's pretty pointless and never really had a benefit. But the assault's well rounded, and the heavy can be very slow and bulky. So it's a very mixed bag of what you got here. Whilst playing online, you'll notice the spectacle of it is great. There's lasers flying around, there's explosions going off, and there's distant ships and other objects in the background moving around, giving you the real sense of a vast battle. But I feel that the maps are poorly designed and they don't flow very well, and often a team can have much more of a better advantage than the other team, which you'll find out as you're playing. All the sounds though in the game feel authentic, and various Star Wars tunes blast out, which is nice, but the gameplay feels a bit flat when shooting the enemy and can get boring and tedious, as there isn't enough of the best things in the game and there isn't very much variety in the maps. But there is free updates, which thankfully gives you a bit more to play with, even though it's drip fed. Thankfully, they added Capital Supremacy, a simple conquest mode, and this allows the winner to try and destroy the opposition's ships. And this mode does vastly save this game from being very poor, which is a good thing. Though, leveling up your main character is ridiculously long and arduous, and shouldn't be as long as they've made it. Sadly, it's a 3 out of 5, and that's mainly from the hard work to save the game and turn it around that they put into it. But it doesn't solve the core issues and just paves over them, but play enough and the cracks will show. I really want to like this, but I have the Battlefield 1 Platinum, and I feel that that is much probably a better game. I hope you liked the video. Please give it a like, subscribe, and give me any feedback.